I salute you, students. Hope you are well. I want to welcome you to our today's class. In our today's class, our focus will be on gradient and equations of a straight line. Gradient and equations of a straight line. So in this particular topic, we need to understand two aspects. The first aspect is to understand what is the gradient, and then we should be able to know how to come up with equations of a straight line. So first of all, gradient, it is actually referred as the slopeness, which also means it is the steepness of a line. How steep or how the line is sloping, it is basically what we mean about the gradient. Note that you can have a line that is sloping like this, and you can have another one that is sloping like this. This one has got more gradient, or it has more steepness than this line that is sloping like this. So we need to understand this particular concept, and actually we put them into mathematics. Then after saying so, I'll say here that gradient is either going to be positive or it can be negative, depending on how the line is sloping. If you find a line is sloping from the bottom left towards the top right, like this, remember this is our y-axis, this is our x-axis. If you find the line is sloping in that particular nature from this point A to that point B, like that, then it is going to have a positive gradient. Because as we are increasing the x values here, maybe we have x1, x2, x3, the y values, which is the same as y1, y2, and y3, they are also increasing. As we increase this one from this particular point, this goes to this point, y also increases in that particular manner. Increase in x results to increase in y. That is a positive kind of a gradient. But if we have a line that is sloping like this, it is going to have a negative gradient. If you have here your x1 maybe and x2, and here you have your y1 and you have your y2, you can be able to realize when x was at that point, the y was at that point. But as x increased to this x2, you find that the y also, or the y decreased to this particular point. You find that when this is increasing, this is coming down, it is going to have a negative kind of a gradient. So gradient can either be positive if the line is sloping from bottom left towards the top right, or it can be negative if it is sloping from top left towards the bottom right. That is the starting point of this particular area. Then after having understood that, we need to ask ourselves, how do we calculate gradient? Gradient is calculated as follows. If you are given 2 points through which the line passes, if you are given 2 points, maybe you are given that the line passes through x1, y1, and it also passes through x2, y2. If I can put that one on a graph, I mean this. If you have got a line that is like that, this is the point A. Let us call these coordinates for A, and these are the points for B. If you are asked to get the gradient of this, we can come up with the coordinates here. A has got x1, y1, and B has got x2, y2, like that. So this one can be joined this way so that we have like a right-angled triangle, but this is the concept that you need to understand. Whenever you are given the two coordinates, gradient will be given by change in y change in y coordinates over change in x coordinates. When we say change here, we mean we subtract the y coordinates. In this case, the y coordinates are y1 and y2. So we can have, it is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So change in y simply means we minus these y coordinates here, and change in x means we minus the x coordinates that we have there, so that we can get our gradient. So if you are given the points A, maybe it is 2, 4, and B, it is maybe 5, 9, you can calculate the gradient. Remember, the points of any particular line are given by the x coordinate followed by y, x followed by y. So this is like our x1, y1, this is x2, y2. So change in y is going to be 9 minus 4, because those are the y's, over 5 minus 2, which will be equal to 5 over 3. That is now your gradient for that particular point. If, for example, you are given, that the line passes through the points maybe M, given by -3, 8, and another point M, sorry, not M, but N rather, and it passes through another point given by N, then you need to get the gradient as follows. Just a minute. This is given by M and N. N is maybe 4, negative 4, negative 4. Those are the coordinates. Then gradient is going to be change in y, which is -4 minus 8 over 4 minus -3. And I want to send a question here. Anytime you do change in y over change in x, if you start by the y of the second coordinate minus the y of the first coordinate, then in doing change in x, you should also start from the same point. Don't do change in y over change in x, change in y, which is -4 minus 8, but when you do change in x, you do -3 minus 4. It is going to be wrong. If you start by change in y, which is now y2 minus y1, then change in x should also be x2 minus x1 in that particular order. So you find that -4 minus 8 is the same as -12, and then you realize this negative and negative will put this one to be positive. So it's going to be -12 over 7. That is going to be the gradient of that particular point. So that is a very, very crucial starting point. Anytime you are given the coordinates of 2 points, you can be able to calculate the slopeness. And as I said, the slopeness can either be positive or negative. If you find that your slopeness is giving you a positive answer, then automatically that line must be sloping in that direction. If it is negative, it must be sloping in that particular direction. But the point is, these lines, they must be straight. We are not looking for or calculating the gradient of curves. Here we are calculating the gradient of straight lines. So I leave you with these particular questions to try on your own. You can pause the video and then you try this. You are told, find the gradient of points given below. Find the gradient of a line whose points are given below. And this is actually what you have been given. find the gradient. So part A, you are told the line passes through 2, 9, and 6, 5. B, you are given -3, -8, and it passes through maybe 4, -9. And C, you find the gradient of a line passing through 13, 2, and 15, and 17. Can you try those questions and find the value of the gradient for each? Thank you very much.